You are listening to the Blue Collar Tribe podcast. I'm your host, Splash. I'm coming at you with a lot of energy because this is the Tradesman Roundtable of men, contractors. And I'm your host, Splash. But today I have a really special guest, Chris Shank. How are you, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. Exciting to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to have you. So before we get into the stuff, let's get to the tea that I need to get out of the way, and we'll start with our music by Painting by Tyler to get you in the mood. We are in season 10 of Blue Collar Tribe podcast, and I'm excited. We have a lot of things happening this season. We've already filmed the women's roundtable. This is the men's roundtable. And honestly, it's unfiltered. It's unedited. These gentlemen that are joining me today have no idea the questions I'm going to ask. But let me tell you why I actually invited Chris Shank on this episode with us. Because as a podcast host, sometimes I can't control the conversation. Not that I want to control things, but ultimately, there's things that I overmiss that are opportunities. And I know that you listeners listen to the podcast wanting that opportunity like, hey, how does this work? Or what does this work? And Chris is really good at that. He thinks on a different side, him not being a contractor, but him being in the trades and working with all of us. So without further ado, I'm going to let everyone go. I'll just say your name. Please introduce yourself, where you're from, what skill trade you're in, and we'll go from there. Damon, how you doing today, man? Oh, can't hear him.
You gotta unmute yourself.
There you go.
There I am. Hi, guys. Hey, Splash. Yep. Damon from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I've got a company called On a Roll Painting. We don't do exteriors. We specialize in interior painting, focused on cabinetry. And we're starting to dip our toe into some refacing, new doors, drawers, countertops, backsplashes. So kind of hoping to expand in that direction in the next year.
Awesome. Thank you. And our guest host, Chris, let everyone know where you're from.
Yeah, I'm in St. Louis, and I have been we were talking about the Painting Contractors Association, which you remember really well. Mm-hmm. And I remember you sort of. But we met for sure at a crank event about a year or so ago. And connecting on these types of activities, podcasts, and some education. It's been a really neat opportunity. And I'm currently at Estimate Rocket, but have been involved with Estimate Rocket since I was at PCA for sure.
Nice. And then we have Michael. I don't even want to mispronounce your last name, my friend. He's on mute.
Orsornio. It's all good, bro. Yeah, my name is Michael Orsornio. I created my company and brand, Paint Life, 1904. And I'm from San Diego, California right now. And currently I'm working on my own, just doing my thing. You know, I'm a content creator. If those of you guys that tune into my content can see. And I just take it day by day and you know, I connect with Splash. I tune into his content and his stuff and, you know, just stay around people like him on the daily. So that's what I do.
I appreciate it. Ryan.
Yeah.
Paintbrush Holster. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, buddy? So my name is Ryan Treacy. I live in Florida. I came up with the Paintbrush Holster, 12 years ago. Yeah, 12 years ago. And finally brought it to light a year and a half ago. I'm also a contractor. I remodel homes, bathrooms, floors, stuff like that. I've been doing that for 6 years, but I've been in the trade since I was 17. I'm 42 now. So I got a lot of knowledge under my belt. So I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you. And then my boy Steady Beat. What's up, buddy?
What's going on? Hey, I primarily been a flooring contractor. I painted back in the day for a little bit. I just never really made it a priority. I had one job, kind of a wall bubble on me, and so I kind of backed away from the whole paint scene and stuck with what I knew best with flooring. So I'm just trying to get back into kind of everything. You know, I do all kinds of stuff. So that's just where I'm at. I'm actually from San Diego. One of these days, Michael and I will hit it up. But I'm from Carlsbad, so I just keep missing the opportunity to meet up with him. So one of these days.
Well, I'm sure that'll happen one day soon. And then last, Mike Beartooth. What's up, buddy? I'll let you introduce yourself and how I know you.
So, yeah, my name is Mike Mullican. Grew up in Montana, did a bunch of construction jobs, high school and whatnot. Out of college, I started working for sorry. Started working for.
We're getting some echo. Ryan, can you mute yourself?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, so I worked for Sherwin out of college, ran some paint stores. That's where I met Robbie when I moved down here to Salt area. Yeah, about a year ago, broke off on my own. I got a general contractor's license, trying to do paint and epoxy, but trying to figure out where my business is going, really.
Nice. I love it. Okay. I did do one thing. I said the podcast is live and then edited. I got to cut my headset off. Okay. Can you guys hear me still? All right. Let me change something on here real quick on my side, but we're still live. I don't care. This doesn't matter to me. I will say this though. You guys, I invited all of you guys on here for different reasons. At the end of the day, being a contractor, we all know.
He just dropped off. Something just got cut loose. Okay, can you guys still hear me, by the way?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, all right. We'll wait for a second. Sometimes you have technical difficulties. I've been doing this for a long time, and man, you never know what you're going to run into, especially when you have a lot of guests.
Yeah. I'm back.
All right, you're back. We hear you.
So, Chris, if you can, guide with them. That actually fixed my problem. What do you do in the contractor space? Before we actually get into like why we're here, what do you do for contractors so everyone has a better idea of why you're here?
Well, I mean, what I do versus, Estimate Rocket is, are you asking what I do, what Estimate Rocket does?
Well, Estimate Rocket and you do.
Okay. Well, yeah, I guess my interest is you'll see me in different groups and I'm passed around, so I get to used to getting to know all kinds of different people from different backgrounds. I personally just like trade contractors who are pushing the evolving edge of their industry, learning new things, like they're living the dream of entrepreneurs. Like you could go after anything you want, you can make it happen. And I think that's where the American dream is still kind of really alive with a lot of people is I could become a business owner. I mean, how many people dream of being a business owner and they're like, I could make my own money, be my own boss. I could decide how big I grow and what I do next. And so I think that's always an exciting place. There's tons of passion there. To the core, I'm a learner. I love learning new things. I love it. Love helping people learn new things and making change in their life. So that's why I'm going to be involved in all these different groups. But I'm with Estimate Rocket right now. They provide software for companies to do, to run your company from beginning to end, where estimating and proposals to job management, scheduling, customer communication, CRM, invoicing, reporting. They're doing a lot. Matter of fact, sometimes it's a hard sell to say like, hey, we do all these things. What is it that you need? So, it's kind of interesting working with a software company. It's my first time working with a software company. The challenge is that we see with a lot of people is how do I learn something new and very complicated that's going to revolutionize my business, but takes time to learn. And so I always tell people with anything, whether it's software, some new business process, hiring, whatever the next stage in your business is to help you level up, it's going to take work. But like everything else, you need to decide, is it worth the work? What are the payoffs? If it is worth the work and if there's a big payoff, you do it. It's like everything else that you offer, all the services you offer. What is, I'm going to do all this work for you, and you don't get caught up on the work like, oh, that seems too hard. The question is, how much am I going to get paid for it? So across the board, anything I do, I'm helping people kind of decide, is it worth the work? Or what kind of work needs to go into the new changes to help you level up as a business? So I think that's where my interest is. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. Damon and Ryan, you two are the most seniored in here. In retrospect of like, respectfully, you've been doing this a long time. Why do you keep doing trades?
Money's good.
I love it.
What
Straightforward.
Freedom. I mean, that 9 to 5 and building somebody else's dream just ain't kicking it for me. I'm not a follower. I'm not a sheep. I'm a go-getter, man. I'm a wolf. I want better for my family. I want better for myself. There's things I want in my life. There's some things I need. So I get out there and hustle and try and get those big jobs. I don't want that small, mediocre stuff. It's good if times are slow. I appreciate that, but I'm going for the big stuff, man. That's how I roll.
Damon?
Yeah, I think I'm in the trades because I can't imagine myself sitting behind a desk for work, for one. And then I found as I got into painting in my 20s, now I'm in my late 40s. As I got into painting, I found out I really liked, just seeing the results every day, making a big visual impact in spaces. And now as an owner, I really enjoy communicating with customers and trying to deliver the best product we can and do right by our customers, knowing that we're going to give them as good or better results than they'll get with most other contractors in our area.
Do you two feel that some of the hiccups you had in the first 5 years, you don't see those as much anymore?
See them all the time. But you learn you learn from them. You adapt and overcome, and you resolve the problem faster, or you back yourself up before that problem arrives. I'm trying to think of an example, but I don't have one right now. So pass that on to Damien and see what he's got.
Yeah, I think, in terms of do I see the same problems? A lot of times the answer is no, because we just don't offer services that gave us problems in the past, like staining and varnishing, that type of work. We've stayed away from. I say no to that a lot. Same with exterior work. We're just not geared up for it in terms of, the staff right now. So we say no to that. And really it's just, trying to find the niche that we excel at and trying to just duplicate that every day. So I've learned how to avoid it just by not sticking our toe in too many different things.
Yeah, I don't know about paint life, but for me, I think you're very similar to my personality, Michael. Is it like, I'm like, oh, I can do that. That's easy. And then you start the job and you're like, oh shit, where's YouTube at? What painter do I know on Instagram that can show me how to do that?
Yeah, I do. I don't really do much painting. What's crazy, I thought of the product, but I don't do much painting. I remodel bathrooms. I build additions and stuff to houses. So when it comes to like problems, I come across problems all the time, but my mind is in more of an engineering problem solving. It's trained for that. I've done it for so long. So the problems occur all the time, but I get through them because nothing goes smooth in construction. Never.
That reminds me of a phrase. Have you guys heard problems are just solutions in disguise? But it does. I know it's kind of a cheap little saying, but it is kind of funny how some people approach their problems. But both of you guys answered that question in a very interesting way for me, because I was immediately thinking, oh, they're going to answer and say like, no, we don't at all see the same problems. But right away, Ryan, you were saying though,
it's in every yeah, whether it's a customer, whether it's ordering materials, I can go on and on. Maybe it's like a bad foundation or a warped wall or stuff. It's just like, so how do you resolve that? Well, you just go back to all your failures. I've seen that before, and this is how we resolve it. And that's just repetition. Just get your feet wet, get your hands wet, dive in. You're gonna fail, and face the fact that you are, and get over it and make notes.
I want to make note of the word fail. Chris, we'll talk about this. I know we've talked privately, but Jeremy and Michael, what I was saying, like with Michael, there's just some of us that inherently, like Paint Life, you just see something, you like, I can do it.
Yeah, bro. Just you know what? It took time to get to that point. Like it really did. Like it's not all easy. You know, there's times where it's more of a mindset, and then the skill is just repetition over time. So it really is the mindset getting you through the day, making sure that each task you're gonna make sure you get it done correctly, no shortcutting, and that's what it comes down to, man. And
Yeah.
you know, we can all learn the skills, but it comes down to the mindset throughout the process.
I'm 100% mindset. And Jeremy and I have a great relationship. I probably talk to Jeremy more than anybody. Well, maybe not Mike, because Mike lives in my neighborhood close to me. But Jeremy, I'm gonna share a little story. Hope that's okay. You constantly ran me on Instagram or text message me and like, hey, how do you do this? What is this object? What would you do here? How would I bid this? And I say from like a little bit more experienced contractor in myself, I love that you're not afraid. And I think people fear too much in trying to create who they want to be, but they know they are. And that fear is it's scary to see. And like I tell Jeremy, I know he'll probably throw me under the bus, but I'm like, just do it. Who cares? I don't know. That may not be how I do it. But then in Jeremy, you'll post videos and I'm like, fuck yeah, he did it. But I know I can hear me. I know he can hear me. I said that's smart. But like Jeremy, you say you don't do painting, but since I've known you, you're always doing more than what you know and learning. How has that helped you, especially since you live in like a small city in Utah, that you do have to chase your jobs?
Yeah, I like I said, that one paint job when I tried to get back on the paint business, I was rolling an interior house and the wall instantly bubbled on me. And not painting for so long and being in the flooring field, I was just tired of being in the flooring field. And the wall instantly bubbled, and I was like I don't know, I don't have the experience, I don't have the know-how, And there's so many. Our town is so small, and now even after COVID, it's it's so competitive. We've got so many handymans, we've got so many painters, we've got so many drywallers, and so anymore nowadays, I don't like. I've never hung a door before, and I've never replaced windows in a already stuccoed home, and so I just take it upon myself and trust what I'm going to do and trust my knowledge, and get it done. I'm trying to just build a better thing, and like that paint job that I just finished the other day, I haven't painted a exterior of a job by myself forever, and they've got hardy siding on it. And a lot of people will talk crap about Bear Paint or whatever, but I trust Bear Paint because that's all I have where I live. It's the paint and primer, and I sprayed that siding, and I came back the next day and it looked like every caulk and nail hole was flashing, and my stomach dropped. And you look down the side of the house, and so I walked down the side of the house and went and looked at where all these flash marks were, and none of them had anything to do with what I thought it was. And so I was just like, all right, cool. Like I made it happen, And so I don't know. It's just very rewarding for what I've done and who I become. I am a blunt person, and I take pride in my work, and I don't know. So I can't hear you.
Got to
I can't
unmute
hear
yourself,
you.
Splash.
I can hear you.
There you go.
Sorry. Jeremy, he's going to fix his internet connection. Mike, he talked about paint. You come from Sherwin-Williams. when you were my manager, I asked you multiple times you should come work with me and do some stuff, and you can. Sherwin-Williams won't let you. But now that you're out, can you tell us, for being the newest contractor here, what made you decide to go? How did you put the fear away? And I know Chris will chime in about that fear, but you're a dad and a husband. Like, you're very prideful in what you do, and that's why I love our friendship. But like, what was the trigger that you had to pull to get out here?
So there's a, I forget what the theory or analogy is called, but basically the idea that if everything less than a mile away you walk to and everything over a mile away you drive to, it theoretically would take you longer to walk 3/4 of a mile than to drive 2 miles. And so the idea being, the worse it is, the farther or the better it is, you know. For me, it just got so bad mentally, staying at Sherwin, not because it was a bad company or anything, but just the position that I was in, that it forced me to act, which really made it better. Or, you know, whereas, you know, if it had just been bearable, it wouldn't have forced me to go do something better. Part of it was my wife was great. She decided to get a job through some prompting, and she got a job. She started first week of June last year, and in that first week, like, she was still training, and I was like, I just can't do it anymore. There's a class to get my contractor's license for the last half of this week. I'm out. I'm going to do that. And it was, I mean, it was tough. It was a big step, but it was one of those things where it just, I mean, I say it a little tongue in cheek, but ultimately I needed to do this so that I didn't want to kill myself, you know?
Yeah, no offense, but you look like shit the last 6 months you were at Sherwin-Williams.
I was in rough shape. It sucked. Funny story. I was over at Splashes here a few months ago. We were just chilling, bullshitting in the garage, and his wife comes out and she's like, "Hey, how you doing, Mike?" And I'm good. And she goes, "You look happier." You know, I am a lot happier.
So
It's been really good.
Chris, from your perspective of working with all of us contractors, how do you make that mindset change? Like, the happiness and excluding the fear. Like Ryan said, like, you fail. I don't believe in failure. It's just a word I try not to use. I think Paint Life is very similar. Like, I'm going to do everything I can. I don't believe that you fail. You only fail if you don't try. But from your perspective, you see all of us contractors, like what Mike said from Beartooth, like, you just have to go do it. What's your feel on that?
My thought as I'm listening to this, and the theme that seems to be emerging is, you know, changing. What do you do with fear? How do you get to the next place? I would even say, how do you do cost benefit analysis? You know, when you're walking up to the door of the unknown or the door of change, how do you open that door and approach what could be on the other side? And you all probably will have something maybe similar and some things that are different. Maybe that's a good question to kick to the group. Mm-hmm. How do you approach that door in your life when it comes time to, do I grow or scale my business?
I got it. So if you don't know anything at all, but you work for someone and you're doing that one trade, but yet you want to get into, let's just say, remodeling, right, and renovations, you're going to have to go. The guy that you're working for, if he just does one thing like painting, but you want to, move further than that, like building walls or doing bathrooms, you're going to have to quit him and work for someone that does bathrooms. And maybe family owned, not corporation, family owned. Get close and pick his brain. Gather all that knowledge and just just go ahead and I'm losing train of thought. Basically, just learn from that guy and then go to the next job and then soak up his information. So basically, that's what kind of worked for me. When I was younger, I went from job to job to job, and I soaked up electrical. I soaked up insulation, building walls, framing, shingling. I did it all. And I combined all my basics into one. So I was like, you know what, let me do remodeling and renovations. And it went from then on to just build that confidence. So I have 70% knowledge of how to do that. I don't know 100%, but I know enough that, I may fail, but I'm going to bid it to where I can cover my own ass. So that if I fail, I can at least replace that thing and learn from that mistake. It's sad that it may have to be that customer, but that's how it all starts, man. You just go for it. Just
go for it. So what I hear there is I just go for it. You're opening up the door and being like, boom, jumping in there. You're going to find the resource people. You're going to network. It sounds like who's in this new world, who's behind this door that I'm going to pick their brains to find. I'm going to try to, it's almost a jack of all trades kind of mentality. Like I'm going to learn a little bit of everything until I kind of find a center of information. Like, okay, this is where I find like I could gather this, I soak this in, then you can find where you fit in really good. Okay, so that's an approach. That's a very specific approach to who you are. Do you guys? Let me ask you. Let me throw it to Michael. We haven't heard Michael. How do you do this? Do you feel like that you share some things in common with Ryan there? Do you do things a little bit differently when you're approaching the unknown? You know you got to make a change. You know you got to open this door. How do you prepare yourself for what's on the other side? What's your game plan?
For me, it's just a matter of like, obviously moving forward with it, trying it out, testing it. Why not? Worst that can happen is go back to what I have been doing in the past. But it's just really, change is going to happen. Like if I want to try a new trade, like he's trying to, say I want to not just focus on painting, learn a different trade. If I want to, for me, I kind of use different resources on people that I know, but, there comes risk with that. You got to really know, it's just, for me, I just take an approach where, how would I say, like, it's just taking it day by day. Like when it comes to this type of stuff is when I try a new trade, I'm just going to resource other people. But at the same time, I kind of want to dip my feet in it and learn a little bit about it. Kind of like right now, I'm focused on learning a lot about the tax codes. And, I don't want to learn everything, but I want to know enough of where when I go sit down with somebody professionally, I kind of have an idea of what I want to ask them. So that's kind of like, you got to just accept the fact that you're going to have to learn these things and put in the work to understand that information. Attain it and put it out there.
One thing about Michael that I loved and I appreciate about you, man, is like you are no nonsense about things. Just in the way that you paint, the way that you talk about business, the way that you talk about mental health, which we'll get into a little bit later on. You have this no nonsense approach. And I think with contractors worldwide, like we need to have that approach. I really do believe, I know like Troll, I'm wearing their hat right now. I know other companies, Dixon, even myself, like we talk about this a lot.
Cutting off.
Sorry, man. We talk about this a lot. Like contractors are just built different.
Might have to leave and come back in. I don't know if it's just Splash or if it's just me.
Can you hear me, Chris?
Yeah, there might be delay, Michael. You might need to jump off and jump on.
Let me leave and come back in. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we're just built different. Contractors are built different. Damon, from what I know about the conversations we've had personally and on the phone, like you are a very quiet individual, but you know your shit. And like, I always think like us contractors have to be loud and obnoxious because, well, that's just me. I'm sure the first time that Mike met me at Sherwin-Williams, he was like, dude, slow the fuck down. But like, Damon, like
who is this guy?
But Damon, how would you, when Chris is talking about building that, how do you take that approach? Because some people feel like being quiet isn't a good leader, but you're a great leader with your business. What advice would you have to people that maybe have that kind of quieter personality, but you're getting the respect from your team that you're building or that you have built?
Boy, I guess I'm not sure exactly how to answer that. I think, you don't have to be the alpha type of personality to run a successful business, to be the leader of a company. But, I think part of being quieter is you've got a little bit of humility about you. So I'm willing to listen to what my employees think, ideas they've got, try to see if they make sense to work with them. Because there's certainly, they already do things differently or better than I would do them. Just because they're different doesn't mean it's wrong. We
Yep.
want to have systems and processes in place, but I'm always willing to adapt and listen to different ideas and try different things. So it's part of, for me anyway, part of running a successful business is a little bit of letting everybody have some input, making sure everybody's, appreciated, listened to, because they're going to have good ideas. They're going to have different ways to try things. And I mean, a long time ago, like I heard somebody describe it as there's no such thing as a paint emergency. So, I try to take a laid back approach and just, it can be an easygoing job. It shouldn't be a stressful work environment, a stressful thing to do. And that's what I want for me. That's what I want for my employees. I think that's just how I come across and how I approach everything in my business.
Chris, any words on that?
Yeah. So I think as I'm getting older, I just turned 44. And no big deal. We're fine. I have an identical twin brother, and he's like, "How does it feel being 44?" And I'm like, I think it's good. I'm happier than I've ever been. I have more peace than I've ever been. I'm reminded of there's a writer who's talking about, back in the day, I was ready for any fight. She said I would walk up to a door and say, "Come out, ye dogs, and fight." And she said like she regretted she only had but one life to die for a good cause or something like that. And I remember being the same way. And I would be like, Ryan, man, I'm just like opening the door, count on my own resources, jump in, and whatever pack of mess melee that I found, like I knew I could create something out of it. And over time, I think I've wanted less of that. Like now I want to know what's behind this door. Have we done our research? Have we done our research on the, failing hurts a little bit more because, at some point, have you heard people saying, "Oh, I got nothing to lose"? Well, over time, you have more and more to lose because you've earned and because you've built a life for yourself. Now you have family and friends. When you get hurt, they get hurt. One of perhaps the worst kind of hurt is watching other people you love hurt.
Yeah.
And that's tough, man. So now I'm like, I want less hurt when I open this door. I want less fail. But I think one way, to reduce some of that, and I think Damon's maybe on this too a little bit, is to kind of plan the type of failure that you're going to have, strategize what type of hurt. Like, hey, if I can strategize different kinds of hurt, then I'm going to keep the hurt low. I'm going to opt in for the low hurt and make sure I avoid all the bad hurt. That's negotiating the pain just a little bit. You got to negotiate the pain. You got to negotiate your fails, in my opinion. So it's not like, and I hear from Ryan and I think it was Michael saying like, hey, it's not like we're going to get everything perfect. We're going to try some things, learn each time, build our winnings, roll those forward. And so Damon, one of your strategies there too is you got a team. You're not jumping in alone. Invest in the team around you. You're multiplying yourself and your brain to be able to think through the situation. That's kind of neat to see that. I mean, it's just different approaches that people apply. And I think as you grow in business, you have more that you're adding to your repertoire. Mike, you're making a big change there, and you're in a sense taking a big risk. I don't know how big the risk. I mean, like it just all depends on how you've assessed the situation, how you planned ahead, what resources you're bringing with you. But how do you feel you're negotiating some of the paths that are coming ahead?
It's been tough. I mean, so my wife's job, she makes about half of what I did. So I'm trying to make up that other half without the opportunity to like do this as a side gig. This was being with Sherwin. There was conflict of interest to be in the trades on the side, and so I had to just start from scratch. Fortunately, I got made a lot of contacts while I was there, and Splash had me come help out on a few jobs last year, which was great. I got a couple other buddies that basically I just go help them with whatever they need. They're doing remodels. But it's been tougher than I expected to find my own jobs. And I think the toughest thing with that is figuring out how to price them right. I'm finishing up the biggest job I've got today, actually. And I almost screwed myself on it. Luckily, the guy was really nice about it. It's just a bunch of door jambs that I'm repainting. And I was kind of like, oh man, I don't know, like $1,800. Does that sound reasonable? And he's like, oh man, it's got to be more than that. And so we ended up at about $6,000. And I'm still thinking I should have charged a little bit more, but it's been really tough trying to figure that out.
I think that as we start our businesses, that's one of the hardest things that we have is what do we start our pricing out on? We're going to get into that, but first let's hear from our sponsor. You guys can put your mics on mute, take a drink. We'll be back in 30 to 45 seconds. Hey everyone, Splash here with Monkey Run Products, your go-to ladder safety and paint and accessories. Let's first talk about their paint accessories. If you're going through rollers and just tired of throwing them away or just don't have the time to clean them, they have the new Spin Pro and Spin Pro Mini available. It's an amazing tool. It'll do your 3-inch all the way up to your 18-inch if you have the wherewithal to use those monstrous rollers on the job site. Also, their ladder accessories are amazing. It's like having an extra hand up on the ladder, but safely being able to access all your tools that you need to get the job done. Visit my friends at monkeyrung.com. Use my code SPLASH10. And make sure you subscribe to their emails because they have a whole list of tools coming out for 2023 and you do not want to be left behind.
Attention Tribers! Plant Powered Marketing is your cutting-edge marketing agency specializing in SEO, Google My Business, website development, and many other strategies that get you ranked #1 on Google. We're your go-to marketing agency for businesses who want to see real, tangible results from their online presence. Our team of experts has years of experience in getting businesses to the top of Google and generating leads through effective online marketing campaigns. Remember to let us build your next website. Contact us if you want to outrank the competition. Plant Powered Marketing, 971-570-0511 or plantpoweredmarketing@gmail.com.
All right. Thank you. We're back. I want to apologize to everyone listening. There's something with my audio on my end. I have no idea. I did 3 recordings yesterday and everything was great. But Damon, you said something that I want to add on to. I feel like when you have employees, you should, well, I don't want to shit on anybody, but like I suggest find a way to let your employees or people you bring in your business be better to them. Because in my experience, if you let people show what they're capable of doing, they highlight themselves and they want to wake up and lace those boots and show up. I don't know if you guys know Johnny Diaz. He was supposed to be with us, but he had to cancel last minute last night. But he had a huge group of employees and now he's a solo painter in California. And I'm seeing a lot of these contractors across the board where they had 5, maybe 30 employees, and they're going solo.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious what you guys all think about that. Damon, I know you have employees and you've actually streamlined really well, but what are your guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, I'll jump in and say, you know, when I don't paint very often anymore, but when I do get to do that work or do some drywall repairs, some stuff that my guys aren't quite as skilled at as I might be, I love being able just to go to work and focus on that. That's like a treat nowadays instead of just focusing on the business. So I understand the appeal of it. And I know, you know, the more people you add, it doesn't quite scale. You don't double your income, you know, every time you double your employee force. So it can be appealing. That's an attractive idea that, you know, you can work your own manpower and keep all the money. I love that idea. I just know for myself at my stage of life, my stage of business, I want to scale it with some different people. And no, I know that I don't know everything. And that's where I try to find the right people that are going to be better, either enjoying what they do more than I would, trying to learn something new, or they've already got the knowledge and can just execute better in certain roles within the company. So I'd rather find the right people and put them in the right seats than try to learn it all myself at this point.
Paint Life, you've made some significant change. I think you were like me. You took some time off for mental health. You took some time off to reestablish. I've not connected with you. And if you don't mind, share a little bit what you're comfortable with. But like, you've made some drastic changes. Like when you came back on social media on Instagram, I was like, fuck yeah, my dude's back. But like, I noticed you were gone.
Yeah, man. You know what? It took time. Like it really came down to trying to balance, which is never going to be perfect, to try to balance out my life with everything I have to do with post production. You know how it goes. Recording, setting up the cameras, actually getting the job done on time. So all that kind of took a toll. And I said, look, I need a team. I need to be able to hire people to come and do what I'm doing with my phone, and for me to be able to get these jobs done. So I thought, the jobs are more important. At the same time, it was taking a toll of just my overall like daily mindset. Like I have to go home and also spend time with family, but also I have to focus on producing content. And I was just like, you know what? Like I love giving value to everybody. All the stuff I posted was more for me because it was my brand is what Paint Life. It's more than just paint. It's about life. And I integrated that together and kind of like I wanted to put that out, but at the same time, it took a toll on me. And I was like, yo, like, there's no way I'm going to sit here and live a facade posting this stuff when I'm going through my stuff mentally. And I took some time away. I enjoyed it. I got to hop on what I really enjoyed doing, like collectibles, if you guys see in the background. But then I said, you know what? I got to hop back in the trenches. Like, I really do enjoy painting. Like, I enjoy doing what I do. And, I actually went to try to help out a company. I worked for a company too, and to kind of follow on to that, what you were mentioning in the beginning about, having that experience within a company, managing jobs for them, trying to manage different personalities, different type of people, different methods of operation, how they do certain things like prepping, and this is how you do it. So you run into that throughout the years of running jobs for companies, and that's why when I went on my own these last couple of years, just on and off on my own, I worked more on myself, and I got to understand, like, look, any job I take on, it's going to take time. It's going to take, each phase is going to take time to get to the end result. At the end of the day, we're in it for money, or you're in it because you actually enjoy the process of what you do. That's just how I see it. Like, when it comes to a company, it's just really, for me, seeing that experience is just, I want to be able to lace up my boots and go to work every day. And there's days where you don't. You show up and you're like, damn, I don't want to be here. And I know a lot of people have been through that. And that's why I kind of just keep it real and just say, look, bro, we're going to go through that. Like, I know when I hire people in my company, they're going to go through that stuff. It's going to be a hot summer sometimes, and they're going to be there not even wanting to prep. I get it. I've been through it. So just like you guys been through your own experiences, and whether you have your own company or you're solo, it just comes down to whether you have employees, embracing them and their strengths and weaknesses, and adjusting to that and teaching them. And if not, you know what you have to do to kind of level up. You gotta hire and fire. And that's how I see it, guys. That's how I see it. So
Beartooth, I called him a few days ago and asked him what he was doing. He told me about the job that he was on right now, and he said to me, I asked him if he was ready for employees. He's like, no. One thing about Mike, he was really great at managing the Sherwin-Williams employees that came in. It was like a Rolodex of people. It seemed like every week someone new was being hired or leaving Sherwin-Williams. But you're taking your time. And I think if Chris, chime in on this when you see where I'm going with this, like, I think you've worked with enough contractors, like Michael was saying, we've done this enough that, like, sometimes it's good to step back and be like, okay, let me do me. Let me be selfish. Let me get my foundation built properly. Then I can bring on other people. And Mike, you said, like, that's what you're doing. You're learning what you want to do, and you're in a good position now. But
yeah, I'm kind of trying to, like, long term, I would like to be running a few crews. I've got, some ideas for other things that I would like to turn my business into. But yeah, right now I'm just kind of trying to figure out the business and make sure that I am the best at what I can be. I'm on the phone, bud. Sorry, my little boy.
Just bring him on the show. Bring him on.
Yeah. But yeah, so right now, like I said, I mean, the big reason why I left Sherwin was mental health, and so being able to basically make my own schedule right now. This winter we got a good snowstorm, and rather than spending an extra 2 hours on the road for the day, I was able to just call it a day and make some snow forts with my boy. And take that time to figure out my life. Like I said, figure out the business, figure out where I want to be. And then, yeah, here, hopefully in the next few years, I can start getting some crews and turning it into something special.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. And Ryan, I'm going to get to steady. Is it steady beat? Is that what you want to be called?
Yeah, that's
awesome.
fine.
Making sure. Yeah. Ryan, let me ask you real quick.
Yeah.
How has your, approach changed to minimizing failure, but going for success? Because sometimes you have to kind of take one big lump and then you have to refine the goal. So how do you kind of minimize the risks?
So minimize the risk would be to start an occupational license. Don't go GC off the bat if you don't know much. Go get an occupational license. You don't need to take a test in Florida and Lakeland at all. You can just go down to the DMV and get a license over there. It's just you get this occupational license number. You got to do in a fictitious name through Sunbiz and stuff like that. Just get business insurance. Don't get commercial. You might even be able to just do personal insurance. Workers' comp. You could be a workers' comp if it's just you, but if you start getting employees, do workers' comp, and you're gonna have to start paying all that. But basically, the fastest and easiest way and low risk would be to get that occupational license and do some, like, for me, it was flooring. So I'm like, where am I going to get my work from? I went to Home Depot and Lowe's. So they'll hire you on if you've got the right, all your ducks in a row. They'll hire you on, but you're doing the installs under their prices. Whether it's carpet, vinyl, laminate, tile, they're going to pay you a certain percentage, but they're charging the customer probably double. But that's money coming in for you to build your capital to where then, just milk it from them for a little while so you can build up your account, right? Get your debt down low, build up your account, and then you can go off on your own. But you got to find work. Where are you going to get this work from? So you got to keep looking out to where, do I do marketing? Do I do Facebook marketing? For me, I actually found a company called Floor and Decor. I don't know if they're in your states, but Floor and Decor basically will allow me to set my own prices. So like, just to say, a 24 by 24 tile, Lowe's would pay me $3 to install that. Well, going through Floor and Decor, I can charge $6, but Floor and Decor is going to take 15%, but that's okay because I'm charging $6. So I'm going to make probably like $5.50 on, maybe $5 on that size tile for installing that into that house. So that's where I'm able to grow on that by just, you got to find companies that are going to give you work, because that's the hardest part when you make this leap. It's where are you going to get the work? Where are you going to do, that you're not going to survive if you don't got the work. So where are you going to get it? You got to go look for it. You got to go see who's going to provide it for you and what do they want in return. Gosh, it's like Angie's List. I tried Angie's List, but they charge out the fucking ass. Hell no, I'm not going to install for them. They're going to charge me $250 for one lead to go to a house that I'm not even guaranteed at. And 10 other installers are going to go there and bid it. But that's $250 out of my account. I didn't even get the job. It adds up quick. So you got to pick who you want to get your work from. And I chose Floor and Decor for that type of work, just to keep work coming in. But out of that, I get referrals. So I get good customers. So once I'm done with them, they call me back 2 years later, or they refer me to another customer. So at 15% every year is referral work. And then the 85% is through Floor and Decor through constant revenue. But right now it's slow. The economy's slow, so I got to go out there and hustle and get it. But that's kind of the route I'm taking. Trying to put it in detail.
Ryan, what's the next challenge on your horizon?
Oh man, I got something big. Right now I got a job I'm bidding. It's right now the customer's at $459,000. And it consists of 18 by 26 line, the line in the back, a valet in the front, stone wall, turn it into flush stucco concrete, removing bearing walls, remove 4,035 square feet of tile, install 30 by 60 tile with engineered glue down wood. All that just starts adding up with LED lights on the steps, in the showers. It goes on and on. Some of these customers are rare where they just like, money's no thing, but I still try to bid that job reasonable, but I add a little bit of more to it because I know big jobs like that can sometimes you can run into problems and it can kick you in the ass. So you got to do your research on what am I going to do? What is it going to cost me to tear up this floor? Well, let me rent. Let me see what it's going to cost for a ride on floor scrape up machine. What's $1,000 a day? $200 pickup, $200 to deliver. So that's $1,400. How long am I going to need it for? Maybe a day, maybe 2 days. So you figure that in there. So I'm going to bid that job at like $3,500. So I make $1,000 if it takes me 2 days with that machine. Then it's like, how many employees do I want? Well, do I want them on my payroll, or do I want to go through Labor Ready, or do I want to go through People Ready? These are places that you can pay this company a certain amount, like $27 an hour for a guy, and they pay the workers' comp, the general liability, and all insurance for that. So you don't have to worry about that. All you got to do is just turn that into your accountant at the end of the year. So you can do that way. Instead of having to do employees, you can pay that a little extra. If you bid that job a little extra, you can pay that $27 an hour. And that guy, you only need him for that day. And now he's back at Labor Ready. And he's not on your books. So you can utilize those to your advantage without having a bunch of employees on your payroll and be like, oh my gosh, when am I going to get this work from? How am I going to pay these guys? Well, they're not on your payroll. So just go through People Ready.
I just want to say one thing on that, Ryan. I know there's some contractors that do that, and it does work. If you're listening to this podcast and thinking about doing it, understand like what Ryan is talking about is a very deep, hard scaling up. There's a lot of things that go into where you bring people on that don't work for you that you're paying out a license to, or that you're all your employees. It's a very different game. It does work, but. Like Jeremy lives Steady Beat. He lives in I think it's Richfield City in Utah. Richfield. It's small. It's literally like just driving in a small place. So he is already going to have that competition, and Chris, I like where you're going with that is like one thing in the blue collar world that I want. And this is a conversation we had when I was with the women doing their podcast is like, every one of us is different. Some like Damon, you're great at having employees. I suck. It's my fucking Achilles heel. Like I'm the nicest dude, and then I'm a dick. Mike Beartooth can tell you that. Like I just don't do well with it. So I love what you're saying, Ryan. And Chris is like, do the yo-yo game. Try things out. Mike, you're new. Michael, you've been doing this a while. Jeremy, I tell you all the time, like just hire someone. Everything in the blue collar world, in my opinion, and I think I may get shit for this, but it's my personality. It's like you can fix everything. If you fuck something up, you can fix it,
and you better fix it.
Yeah, but like Jeremy, I would love to have 5 people down there with Jeremy because Jeremy is actually a really great people person. The way when he and I talk through social media, like I know he knows what he's doing and talking about, and these smaller. City, outside people, it's hard as a contractor for me to see. I'm like, man, like, why aren't these guys making those 6 figures? It is sometimes, and very unfortunately, cutthroat when you're in these smaller towns.
It's very cutthroat down here.
You go 2 hours sometimes.
Yeah. Yep.
It's hard. And I don't, if you're listening to this and you are this person, I'm going to say to you right now, fuck you, because I think you're a liar. But stop putting on social media that if you come with me, I'm going to get you $30,000 in jobs. And if you don't do it, I'm going to give you $5,000 back, or I'm going to teach you to upscale. Stop. You've never laced up your boots. You've never knocked on doors, as you said earlier, Chris. And no, you don't know what's behind the door. Like, I'm sorry, and I lost it. I did lose a great friendship. He's been on the podcast, and this is the kind of stuff he's doing, and will not say who he is. And I'm like, bro, it doesn't work that way. Your mindset, like Ryan, I know what kind of contractor Ryan is just after an hour of our conversation. Damon, I know because I'm in it. We aren't built the same. That's what being blue collar is about. And I love, so you guys are in this passion. Like, it just irates me because I'm getting DMs every day from people like, hey, can you teach me? Damon, you've talked about like, hey, what kind of social media, where can I make that adjustment? Where can I get the bids? Like, you said this, but like, if someone tells you, here's a rule of thumb. If someone says they're making $450,000, their take home was 100. I'm going to call you out because it's the truth. Like,
250.
it just is. But Chris, I'll tone it down because you're really good at mellowing me out. But like, we're not octopuses. We can't do everything. What is your advice from the position? We'll go Estimate Rocket's mindset. Like, why are putting things in place like Estimate Rocket so important?
Yeah, and guys, I promise we're not doing a commercial for Estimate Rocket.
No, we're not. No, this is not it.
Splash and I are not interested in that. Believe it or not. No. Like, I'm not a marketer.
It's a systems thing, though. It's a systems thing.
That's the thing
that's why I'm bringing this up.
Right. I always say, whatever you're using. I'm now representing a company that I think is really solid, that I've known for a long time. But at PCA, I was the education director there, and we had all these vendors and lots of people offering software. And really, you're just trying to convince people you need a system, you need a tool, whatever, and then you help people assess the differences, obviously. But I will say one thing, it is hard being a business owner, and it doesn't mean that it's tragic. I don't mean that kind of hard. It can be a positive experience, even if you have the highs and lows. Overall, the freedom. Who mentioned freedom? One of you guys said, "I do it for the freedom."
Mike Beartooth did.
That's happiness. That's happiness. That actually could compensate when you're experiencing, poor finances. Not that you are, or when things are getting slow, or you're spending a lot of time at work and you want more time for your family. Freedom helps to compensate. It's the payoff that we talked about. Is it worth it? Well, I get this much freedom. I'm having problems with this other stuff here, but it ends up balancing out. So you kind of have to say, like, is it worth it? And it sounds like for a lot of you, it is, even though you're still trying to push the edge and all that stuff. The other thing I wanted to mention, Splash, you talked about competition. And I think you said, Jeremy, is, in an area, I think you mentioned there's a lot of people doing a lot of stuff around here. Boy, I heard somebody was talking about growth in their company. And they said, oh, we're doing this new thing, and everybody wants this. Everybody do you know anybody that doesn't want blank? And I'm like, well, yeah, but there's also a million other people selling that thing. You can't just say it's all an issue of supply and demand. The question now is, are there other competitors that are cued into that? And if they are, that's people just undermine their competition, man. We have got to have a competitive mindset. And that's when we talk about opening up the door, what's on the other side. You have to be a little bit careful because there's other people opening the doors, other doors that are going in at the same time you are. So you have to have a competitive mindset, in my opinion. That doesn't mean that you have to be enemies with your competitors. There's an idea of cooperation where our competitors, we could all kind of play a game in a certain way that most of us tend to win. That's awesome. But anyway, there's a lot of risks here. There's a lot of payoffs. There's a lot of risks. I think for me, it's how you do the cost benefit analysis. How do you strategize your wins? How do you strategize your losses? But that's what I'm hearing when I hear, like, because sometimes I'm not a business owner for good reason. And I listen, I'm like, wow, how do you manage your stress? How do you decide what's worth going after? How do you not die in the process? How do you not ruin yourself and not ruin your family and those you love in the process? There's a lot being balanced there, but it can be really worth it if you kind of know how to, like you said, look for the wins and then build your wins as you go along. I think that's what I'm hearing from you guys. And that's really interesting.
No, that makes a lot of sense, Chris. It is building the wins, and I'm extremely passionate because now that I'm not painting anymore, hearing men and women across the world, like Ryan, you said, and it's no offense to you, but you said there's a lot of the economy slowed down, and I understand the picture that we're seeing in the economy is not be politics, but I look at where I live, and Beartooth can testify this. There's homes going up every day. So when I hear that it's that way, what I'm hearing in my mind as the contractor is like, you aren't out, and this is my mindset of marketing. You aren't out guerrilla marketing. Get out there, put your boots on, and you got to let people know. Like I was just at a coffee shop, a new coffee shop this morning, and they're brand new in Daybreak. It's the second time it's been a coffee shop, so it's really weird to change owners and whatnot. And I said to the owner, I said, hey, have you been across the street? It's a big business, Rio Tinto, if you guys know who that company is. And she's like, no, why would we go over there? I said, you should take free drink flyers next door to a business that has 300 employees, leave them, go in for an hour and just say, hey, here's a free small coffee. If there's 300 people there and you get 10% of that business, you're going to stay afloat. I mean, but I think that I'd like to ask every one of you, we'll start with Damon and then Paint Life, Beartooth, Jeremy, and then Ryan in that kind of order. I don't want to say tell your younger self because that seems cliche, but right now, let's say you had a friend, someone that you really respected, that you wanted to see them succeed in the trades. What would you tell them? What one or two things would you say, these are the things, and if it's something you would change that you did, kind of share that experience with us, because I love when we hear other people's things, because I think people listening to this will be like, I'm having the same issue and it can help. So Damon, we'll start with you. What would you change if there is anything?
I don't know that. I guess the best advice I'd give, and the word was on the tip of my tongue when Chris Shank said it, the word cooperation is a real thing. I live in the same neighborhoods or the same areas like Jason Paris and Nick Slavic, and they've kind of started these groups called the Gathering of, and ours is the Minnesota Painters, and they're starting to pop up all over the country, even in Canada now. So Jason Paris does a great job of describing the idea that there's more work out there than any of us can handle by ourselves, even if we got just a fraction of a percentage. If we had 5% of the work in the metro area, we'd be just overwhelmed with, the size of the business that would take to run. So you can lean, if you've got, like-minded people in your area, you can kind of lean on each other and have this idea of cooperation. Yes, we're competing against each other, but there's so much work that more than any of us could handle that we can support each other, learn from each other, refer each other work if it's not our expertise. That's something that didn't exist 10 years ago when I was in the contracting world. And it was really lonely to be a business owner and feel like you had nowhere to turn, nobody to ask advice. The internet, wasn't around. Now there's all kinds of support and help if you just reach out and connect with people. That to me is what really inspires me, and why I'm willing to be on this, right, is to share, to learn, and to be part of networking groups, whether it's on Facebook or in person. It's inspiring, and it lifts you up to feel like you're not alone, and that there's people that want to help you be better and learn to be better.
By the way, I do want to mention, as you're saying that I'm glad for your perspective. I think I need that sometimes. I mean, in my own type of work, there's competition, and you want to be able to think, how can all boats rise in the tide? You want that. I'm a firm believer in you becoming the best competitor you can be, and I want to align myself with the strongest competitors. And I think those people network the best to get somewhere great. But even though you and I might be a little bit different side of that tension, I appreciate fully what you're saying, and I see it when you talk. I'm like, I see it more, so I appreciate that.
Damon, I love that. We'll get to you real quick, Paint Life. I got to touch two things. One, I have the mama mentality. I've always had this mentality. There's no competition until we get on a field or a court. Unless I go to Sherwin-Williams and you've bought the whole store out and I can't paint. Mike Beartooth actually saw this. I think you were the manager when a painter came in and he's like, oh, you're my competition. I'm like, yeah, I'm my competition. But that's my mentality. But to touch on what you're saying, Damon, though, the paint groups that you're talking about, when I think Michael from Paint Life is the only one that may have followed me at this time. It was very new when I was Splash, the beginning. I got so much shit in my comments and DMs because I was telling people how to do shit and how I messed up a wall and then how to fix it. This is before DIYers were even a thing. I got so much crap. Now, Bucket Edge, that's a great friend of mine. He's in Minnesota. And I know Nick Slavic. I know some of these other cats that are out there. They're now doing this. And I love, because I feel like I help pioneer, show what you can. If I'm not doing cabinets, I connect with another cabinet company in my area and I take 10%. It's business. I mean, I was ranked number 1 on Google for 2 years. So of course I'm going to get more phone calls than anybody. But if you leverage, that's the word here we're going to put in here, leverage yourself to be able to communicate, or what did you say, Damon? What was that word? The competition?
Yeah.
Competition with your area, it's fine. So I absolutely love that. You know, don't be afraid of other people in your genre or in your niche, because someday they're going to need you and someday you're going to need them. And it will pay off if you build a good rapport. Paint Life, what's your advice?
Yeah, it's kind of like how I do. Like for me, this is why I, create content and just put out what I know and just look at it as, for me, the way I look at it is I'm not expecting anything in return out of people. Like they can learn from me, my methods, I'm learning from other people, but it's just putting out what I know, kind of like you, just putting out everything I know and just knowing that, I'm just going to gain a portfolio of my work, and that's going to lead me to potential clients. And it has been working for me, and I know it does work. And if I can only imagine when I actually work the social platforms to actually market correctly and do ads and all that good stuff, how much more I can elevate in promoting my company and, getting all that stuff out there for awareness of new potential clients. So, yeah, that's just how I see that part of it. But yeah. And then what was your question? So I just wanted to back up on that question again.
What advice? Like, you do really good railings, by the way. If you guys want to learn how to paint railings, that's your cat, dude. He knows all about the spraying Graco. Shout out to our sponsor, Graco, by the way. If you're in the market for a paint sprayer, visit your local Graco dealer. I know Michael is sponsored by Graco as well. Best sprayer on the planet. Anyways, so in your business life, what advice would you give someone? If your kid came to you, your nephew, someone that you love passionately, what would be the one thing you would tell them? You need to implement or understand this about business.
It's going to take day-to-day execution. Like there's the days you don't feel like doing it, because as humans, there's days we're not going to feel like doing nothing. You're going to just stick to it. Create that discipline, forget the motivation. The discipline has to be there, the consistency of doing it day in, day out. And like we were all talking about earlier, just repetitious, practice of what your trade is and what you're trying to learn. And just do it repetitiously. And if it doesn't work the first time, and if it is what you really want to get out of life, you're going to find another approach to get one step closer every day. And it's a day-to-day thing, because we can plan, we can have a blueprint. Other companies are out there, they have success. I can do it too. It's just a matter of that day-to-day execution. And that's what I would tell somebody, just day by day, what do you got to do to get one step closer to what it is you say you want? And do you really want that? Because sometimes we can get drifted into other parts, kind of like my boy Steady Beat was saying, he's tried painting, stepped away. Like, I didn't expect for me to step away for so long and do like collectibles, And one thing I would tell him is just try it out. And if it's something that you really want, you're going to stick to it day by day. That's what I would say.
Love it. Chris, day-to-day execution. Yeah, I better see a video come up with this, because I know that's your wheelhouse right there.
Well, day-to-day is important. And, in my life, I just always apply to it. Comes down to the person, and do you have the character to do things consistently, to, things rush in on your attention, push out things that are on the fringes and say, I want to stay focused on this for as long as it needs to be. I'll come back at it. I won't give up. That takes character, man. And that takes time to build character. I think over time, my life has built more of that. But they say in habit building that it's just, you gotta have systems, man. You can't just set a goal that's win or lose. You have to set systems that get you closer to your goals that you build on every day. Because the one thing, it's never going to satisfy you as much as you think it will. Number one, arriving one day is not going to be as amazing as you thought if you're not tasting of that goal every single day in your systems. How do I make small goals that match the bigger goal? You do want that big thing, don't get me wrong, but that does change over time. If you guys had your dreams change, if you thought you wanted one thing, you had a vision for what it was, and that's evolved. It could have been something totally different, or it could have just been refined over time. So you don't want to stake everything on 20 years down the road. And I see a lot of people betting on retirement too. Like, I'm going to be happy one day. I don't know, man. That seems a waste of this short life that we are living, to say the last 10 years, 20 years of my life, when I don't even have, as much health, I'm not even in my best frame of mind or whatever, then I'm going to rest. I don't know, man. I just think that you kind of have to experience and taste of your successes all throughout. And that's the day-to-day stuff that you can take joy in, but it takes some maturity to be able to see that too. But I think it's the right way. And I see business owners making the best progress when it's not all or nothing leaps, when it's like saying, I'm going to do some habit stacking, success stacking to get to those bigger wins. It'll make you feel better in the long run too.
I like that, habit stacking. That's an interesting way to put it. Beartooth, let's go to you. You're relatively new in the game. You're the newbie here. You're new. It's not even been a year, I don't think. But
it'll be a year and 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah. So I again, not what would you tell yourself, but what would you tell your best friend that's saying, "Hey, dude, you're blue collar. I want to join you in the trades. I'm going to do my own business." What's the advice you'd give them?
That's funny because my best friend is probably who I would go to for advice. And that, I guess I was thinking of it more as, talking to younger, not necessarily me, but just somebody younger.
Yeah.
The two things that I would say is non-traditional education and surrounding yourself with the right people. College, I got a business degree. It was almost worthless. Like if I knew where I was going to be 10 to 15 years out of high school, there's no way I would have gone to college. It was a waste of money for the most part. Obviously, there's some degrees that are worth it, but for me, not so much. So whether it's a trade school or apprenticeship or, just getting a job where you can learn hands-on, do that. And then, surround yourself with people that are going to make you better. Like I said, my best friend, he's a go-getter. He's a smart guy, not in the traditional, school sense, but the guy knows his shit. And if I've got a problem, I have no issue going to him. I'm a firm believer that if you're the smartest person in the room, you're doing something wrong. So surround yourself with people that are going to make you better.
Awesome. I love it. I thought I better be like your third best friend. I don't want to be the first one. I want to be like the third or fourth.
Sure. You're top 5 for sure.
Sweet. Jeremy, what would you tell yourself? And don't say move to a small city, because I already know that you would be in San Diego like in a minute.
Fuck, no, I wouldn't. Michael can attest to that. I mean, I'm sure he's a city dude, but I can't hang down there. My dad always tells me, he goes, "You want to be happy, you live in the country. You want to make money, you got to live in the city." And there's total truth to that. But
oh yeah,
I couldn't do it. But repeat that question again, because honestly, my phone's been blown up with phone calls and everything else.
No, you're good. What would you if a family member, one of your best friends comes and says, "Hey, Jared, I want to be blue collar. What's the one advice you'd give me today?"
Damn, I grew up, my dad was a landscape contractor, so I grew up in the dirt watching. My dad, crazy enough, he bought a house for $600,000 in Carlsbad overlooking the ocean and tore it down. And he had a business partner in Colorado that built homes, and they were supposed to go in halves and build a home. Well, that relationship broke, and so my dad was left there in tears, going, "What do I do now?" So watching my dad do what he needed to do he ended up building $1.5 million home on top of that house lot and selling it, and that's when we moved to Utah. But I honestly started my business. It took me a minute to jump out of the game. I was so scared. I knew I wanted to do what I wanted to do. I wanted to make my own time. Money isn't always everything. It was more of a happiness when it came down to it, because I was tired of showing up to work every day and constantly seeing my boss roll up with a Corvette or a new boat or whatever. And so I was like, I gotta make change. And to be honest with you, I left him in January of 2020, went to the coal mine for 3 weeks. Thought I was going to do that. Worked in the coal mine, 16-hour days, was in Arizona, and I got a phone call and I was let go March 5th, and the pandemic hit March 10th, I want to say, like in Utah, like shit hit the fan, and I had no job. I already told my old boss, I ain't working for you, you know. So I don't know. It was time to just hit the ground running, and it was hard for a minute, but I'm happy where I'm at now. You know, I honestly I go into the Home Depot every day. I don't laugh at those people, but I used to work there, so, and they fired me for something corporate. You know what I mean? It was just like, so now to see myself be more successful than some of those guys working in the Home Depot is kind of like, all right, like I'm happy where I've been, you know. I'm happy with the decisions I made and where I'm at, you know. Yeah, like I said, I mean, primarily been a flooring guy for the past 6 years. Well, yeah.
I remember the mining job. I remember you calling me, telling me you were doing the mine, and then 3 weeks later you called me, said you were doing that. So, dude, Ryan,
Yeah.
we'll get to you real quick. I just want to say one thing about that, and Chris, if you can chime in on this, it's like sometimes we need those setbacks. I don't know if that's the right word I want to put here. That's what I'm thinking now. Like, we need those setbacks to push us to the success that we know we have. I think a lot of us, you probably can internalize this better than I can right now. Like, we can achieve what we want. Dollar amounts aside, let's put that aside. But like the goals that we have for ourselves, they're there. And I feel like sometimes, including myself in my past, I know with some of your past, Chris, like sometimes you just need that little like kick in the ass to go.
Push.
Oh. Well, yeah, somebody said about art that all good art begins as a series of misunderstandings. That if it goes for art, it's probably the same for business, probably the same for any kind of success, wealth building, learning in general, change. Series of misunderstandings. That's kind of necessary for the time. Man, if I knew who I was going to become and what I was going to look like, I know I would be terrified as a kid because I didn't understand it. Like, I feel happy. I look around. It's so true, though. I look around, I'm really happy. But as a kid, I grew up in a very fanatical religious home that was like its own thing. And it's awesome stories. I could regale you for hours telling you stories about this. But because of the way I thought about the world, like what now looks like a normal life and a happy life, like I never would have recognized it. Nobody could have said, here's a goal, set it for yourself. And then I would never wanted anything done. Never would have. I had to kind of go along the track of what made sense to me at the time, what the world seemed to be, and slowly become a disillusion. It hurt a lot, but I never would have made progress if I didn't have that series of misunderstandings. So in business, think about it, man. If somebody would have told you how hard it was going to get, or how many people you'd be managing, or the other problems that would come down the road with, new environments bring new problems. If somebody would tell you all the kind of things you'd handle, but they didn't tell you all the resources you would have to handle it, all the skills you would develop in the meantime, you'd maybe be overwhelmed and say, I don't want anything to do with that. So you kind of need your progressive misunderstandings, hopefully, to say that's how you get to the right place. So I think it's a beautiful story. A lot of people's startup. Yeah. I think that's great. Steady Beat, how you shared that. I don't know. I think everybody can identify with that to some degree.
Dude, I remember the phone calls, Jeremy. Jeremy's like, hey, I'm going to the mines. I'm done. Fuck my boss. I'm going to go do this.
Like, working in a mine. I mean, literally, you got quite a story. That's a great story.
Oh, really is. I love it. It wasn't what I expected. It was 13-hour days shoveling coal onto a belt line. And
what did you expect, by the way?
well, no, I mean, I honestly thought those days were over. I thought that was like Virginia back in the 1920s, know.
Yeah.
I mean, Utah's got one of the biggest still running coal mines, and it's 20 miles up the road. They're 30 miles underground, So
yeah, that's horrific. Wow.
It was horrific, and it was hard to adjust and hard to, and they were just like, you're not working hard enough. I'm like, I'm sorry, but if I need to take a break, like, I'm going to take a break. Like, I don't care who you are, So.
Yeah.
But
All right, Ryan. What would you tell someone that you care about? They come to you saying, "Hey, bro, I want to get in the trades." What's the advice?
Find something you're good at and master that shit. Master it, because you're not gonna know everything. When you're young, you think you're all right. You fucking don't. So find something you enjoy. Find something you're really good at. Master it, then jump to the next one. See if you can make money from doing that one. If you can't, you got to add more shit to your arsenal. What's your tool belt? You got to master something else and keep adding on. The more you add on, before you know it, you're like, yeah, I can make actually money in this part of the trade from that. So you got to know your shit, man. If you're gonna go out there and fake it like you make it, yeah, you could, but people are gonna pick up on that shit, man. Don't look at them like they're dumb.
Yeah.
Know your shit. Get out there, figure out what your numbers are gonna be. Try and if you're gonna go do an estimate. Actually, I'm jumping in the wrong way. You meant like talking to someone young, you know?
Well, just in general, I think Chris would agree. Like what you're saying is absolutely correct. Like master that skill, master that thing. It's absolutely right. So I'm going to share what I would tell someone that's getting into it, and then Chris, I know we have to wrap it up a little bit. Those of us that want to stay can. I know Chris has to go, but I want you to kind of just give us a brief of what you feel about this. For me, I would tell anyone that wants to get in the trades simply this: you're not a fucking octopus. You have 2 arms. You don't have 8. You cannot do everything in your business. If you're a painter, hire people to manage your business. If you're a good business owner, hire painters, whatever the trade is you're going to. Stop. The worst thing I did, Mike Beartooth, you know this. I would go into Sherwin-Williams and just fucking explode. Not like that, but like he could sense my distaste about this. Is like, it's your business. And when you hand things off, Damon, we talked about this, I think 3 weeks ago. It's okay to hand things off in your business. You don't have 8 arms for a reason. You can't manage it all. So don't try. Decide where you want that business to be and where you fit that foundation, and then build around that.
Yeah.
Chris?
Yeah.
I'll let you kind of...
I think that's great. They are now, in the search for happiness, which Steady Beat brought up some things like it's not always working in the city and being rich, maybe in the country being happy. Happiness and wealth may not be strictly tied together like we sometimes think. But the other thing they say about happiness is mastery. When you get really good at something, you tend to not just be able to do more things and get paid more, but you tend to feel really good about yourself. You tend to feel valued in your relationships and in your community. So I would say, well, it's one of the best pieces of advice for humans in general. Like for kids, as a parent, make sure your kids get good at something. Because their feeling of success and mastery will encourage them to go after the next thing. Like you're saying, get good at something, get really good, then get good at the next thing. And instead of trying to like be okay at everything and kind of trying out something and dropping it, trying out something and dropping it. Nick May talks about a lot of times at the beginning of business, it's massive action and you're doing everything. But you can't sustain that forever, right? And you have to get to the point where you focus on the things that you're best at. That's where you build the mastery. And you got to really and eventually you can scale. And that's what there's a good process of trying some things, just try a lot of things, get good at something, and then work from that as your center. Then find the next thing you're good at, do that, and then slowly you build like a good core. So I think that's brilliant. I love it. I think it's good human advice. If it's good for business owners, man, it's good. It's probably good for people in general. I'll also say though that entrepreneurs and business owners are a special, their own type. Not everybody can do it, man. Some people see a brick wall and like, I know how to get through or around that. Other people are going to hit their head against it too many times, and they're just not that type. So some people ought not to go that route. I haven't gone that route for a reason. Now, I don't think it's because I don't have tenacity or resilience. Of course, I would pride myself in thinking I have those things. But I'm telling you, the way you guys think, there is a certain way about it that make you guys unique. And I love working together with you guys. I get inspired by you guys. Mostly, I try to put you guys in front of other people that like you. And that's what I like what Splash is doing, bringing everybody together and let people hear you as you think out loud. You're kind of exposing your processes to how, here's how I make it work. And everybody's like, oh, okay, I'm not stupid. And here's somebody like me that's, it's okay to fail. I'm going to strategize some of my failings. I'm going to, make sure I'm find the things that are worth the work. I'm going to build on my winnings. That's what this is helping them. So I love that. I think it's great. So first thing I do is I don't encourage everybody to get into business ownership. That may be where maybe we're different, guys. I don't know.
I agree. I don't think I don't think everyone should. It is.
Yeah.
There are more things that you don't know what to do. You know, I had someone on Instagram. I know Michael's dealt with this before. Paint Life. I actually had a few cats write me when I announced I was retiring from painting. Like, told you couldn't fucking make it. Told you couldn't do it. I'm like, bro. First, you should see my bank account, because when the earthquake happened in Utah, I landed that job. Like, no, it was never about the money. I just enjoy it. But like the cats that tell you that you can't do, like I said this before, I have that mama mentality. You're going to be on a paint job for 2 hours. I'm going to be there for 6. I'm going to double, if not triple, your work ethic. And as a business owner, we are built that different. We truly have that mindset of like, I can do it. And I love that, Damon, I'm going to say this. I hope you don't mind. I know you were shy about coming on, and I know that you are a lot more reserved and humble and a lot of those things that they're characteristics I don't have. You know, I like that you were like that. You know, it's impressionable upon me. And same with you, Chris. You kind of a little bit reserved a little bit. And I know when I walk into a room, I'm like a fucking ball of fire, and that's fine. But we sit back, and when we're business owners, it gives us that opportunity to really evaluate this. And, you know, my son recently was talking to me about wanting to go into trades, or, you know, I'm married to a beautiful woman who's very white collar. And he's like, but I don't know. I said, listen, at the end of the day, you need to decide. Can you have people be your boss and you clock in and be told what to do? Or can you show up and still have a boss, but know that you're being paid for the things that you've taught yourself? There's a difference of being, that's where I see white collar and blue collar is like, are you teaching yourself, or are you really a good human that you can just walk in and go do that? I know Chris had to leave. So, you know, that's just one of those things for me that I absolutely love. We're going to go to a sponsor real quick. Does anyone need to leave, or is everyone still good on time?
Good.
Okay, so let's hear from a sponsor. Put your mics on mute. We'll be back. Like I said, this is Blue Collar Tribe Podcast, unedited, unfiltered, and here we go. No handouts, just work. That is the motto of blue collars across the world. You and me alike, we understand what it is to get off a job site, look all dirty, getting ready to go out to dinner, trying to find some clothes that still represent that we are blue collar to the bone. Well, visit my friends at Trep Wear. That's TREP wear.com. What is Trep, you ask? It stands for the real everyday people. That's you. That's you every day. You are real. You are an everyday human being that just loves and has passion about what you do. Well, wear it pridefully on your shirts, on your shorts, on your jackets, and on your baseball hats. Visit my friends at trepwear.com and use my code SPLASH25, get 25% off, and be part of the real everyday people of the blue collar world. All right, we're back. We're back. Chris left us. Thank you so much to Chris Shank for joining us. I don't think he's going to be going back. I know he had a hard stop. That was a great opportunity. So for those that stayed with us, I want to continue this. If you guys do need to bow out, I know you're contractors. Just give us a peace sign and bow out. We'll be good. Michael, I know Paint Life, we were going to talk about this, and I know Beartooth, you and I've had private conversations. You've seen some of this, and I know you kind of dealt with it yourself. Ryan and Steady Beat and Damon, if you guys have some knowledge you want to drop, please do so. But mental health, I want to talk about it. I think it's important. You know, I love my wife, and she is the strongest supporter of me. She brought it aware to me that I was having some fucking meltdowns in life. And I think that because we're blue collar tribe, I'm going to house it to blue collar people. Our job is not easy. It's not. And I'm going to get emotional here. I don't mean to be, but like, it is so hard to wake up and manage a family, your kids, your dog, your wife, your employees, the the amount of phone calls that you get. I have never shared this, and I thought I would probably never share, but I will. I was planning a vacation. I had fired all my employees. I didn't fire them. I moved them to another company. I had some old employees that wanted some jobs, so I told them to get their license, and I moved them to subcontractors. I planned a road trip with my wife and I and my 3 dogs to go from Salt Lake City to Florida and meet up with one of our best friends. I got a phone call last minute that I worked out, figured it out. Had we done the job right, I'm going to talk money here, so you know how I feel about talking dollars. The dried ink on the contract was over $2.5 million a year for 5 years, period, for my business. All I had to do was get people to show up. The minute I left from driving from Salt Lake to Florida, my 3 GCs that I had, and I'm not throwing anyone under the bus, I'm just talking about the mental things that we deal with, blew my phone up. Over 25 phone calls a day, text messages. These were the phone calls I got because I want to be transparent in this. And I know, Michael, you've kind of dealt with this yourself. What paint do I get? The paint store doesn't have my paint. I need more tape. Johnny didn't show up. I don't know where Samantha is. When am I going to get paid? The homeowner wants to add this on. The state of Utah wants to do this. That is mental fucking breakdown. If you cannot leave what you love, and I mean this, like I love painting. Michael or Beartooth, you fucking know this. Like out of all the guys in this room, you know. Like I like my Raiders, I love football, and I love painting. But to not be able to go on vacation for 2 weeks broke me. I was done. There's the story. Y'all want to know why Splash quit at the fucking splash painting? That is it right there. So I walked away from millions. Michael, Beartooth, you know this. You saw the numbers. Like I walked away. And I'm here to tell you now that I'll shut up and let you guys talk. Stop chasing the dollar. Your mental health is not worth it. Fish, hike, do collectibles, do woodwork, do whatever. But don't break yourself mentally. Please don't. And I am here if you need to talk. I'm here to listen to you vent. I'm here. But you 5 that are with me, what words of advice would you have for people that are going through something? Because acknowledgement's the first thing, and it was the hardest thing for me to acknowledge that I wasn't mentally healthy.
I'm going to start off by saying man, we're all going to go through our own process or journey, man, in this life. And that's the crazy thing. Like having just to go through all we have to go through to run a business, balance life, balance family, whatever it is we're doing. I just feel like we're human. We're going to go through emotions. We're going to go through these ups and downs in life. And it's just a matter of, like you said, just acknowledging where you're at. It's hard sometimes, but when you're sick and tired of your own shit, that's when you flat out change. Like little change happens here and there. And I'm going through stuff myself too with my health. I feel like my health is way more important. My sense of peace is more important. Like, for instance, I'm here at home today. I could be working, but I know how to schedule and try to balance out and figure out how I want to go about my day to day. Because it's hard, man. Like Splash is saying, it's tough. It's tough out there, especially when you're running a big business like you guys do. And it's just gonna come down to like you versus yourself every day. How are you gonna talk to yourself and repetitiously think to get up? It's not all about just trying to be motivated. It's tough. I don't have kids yet, and I can see it around like people with kids. That's just one aspect of life, having to deal with that. But man, it's a day by day thing, you versus yourself. I think the way I see life and embracing where you're at. And if you want better for yourself, you're gonna have to put in work. And also what I love, like you said, leverage other people, like connect with people and really, create a life from this where we're at right now. Life is what we make of it, straight up. Like, connect with people and help each other out, and which is why I like to just put value out there however I can, and hopefully it ripple effects and connects with one person. And it has been, and it's not easy, especially when I put out all this content of personal growth. And that's my thing. The more you condition your mind on personal growth to become a better version of you every day, and it's going to be a battle, you versus you every day, but it's that consistent growth, that consistency. Whatever you listen to, whoever you listen to, if it's an influencer, mentor, your family, whether you're mentoring your kids and raising them, I just feel like it's going to be that day to day, becoming a better person. And besides going after what we want in life, whether it's our career or whatnot, it's all in the mind. It really is. And there's ways to recondition and reprogram the way that we think. And yeah, that's a different topic and going into like how we think as humans. So yeah.
It's a change to see. Damon, you've been in this game a while. Has there ever been a time that you were just like, I'm done? The old boxing mentality, throw the towel in. Like, I think that every single contractor that's on this screen and that's listening to this has been in their truck, white knuckling that vehicle, like, I'm done. I'm done. How did you get through that? I hate to use the word adversity, but like, that's the word that comes. But like, how did you get through that? If you don't mind, is there something you did?
Absolutely. I did step away. I had about 8 years where I got burnt out. Again, felt like I was on an island. I mentioned that earlier, right? Nowhere to turn. In my mind, I didn't know where to go for support. And I got burnt out and I left. I had an opportunity presented to me to be a project manager at a remodeling company here locally. And I took it because I love the idea now of having support. There's owners above me, there's subcontractors not below me, but that are executing the work, and I'm right in the middle. I had support above and below to just do a simple task. Doesn't mean it was easy, but it was simple. And what I learned in those 8 years of being project manager was a whole new skill set that I can use now. Long story short, after 8 years, COVID hit. They laid me off because their leads plummeted temporarily. And nobody was hiring because it was COVID in the blue collar world. And I just looked at it as an opportunity to maybe get back into painting, got back into it, started working with my hands again, realized that I really did enjoy it. But now I had this whole new skill set of project management that I had learned. And I looked at it as an opportunity to run a better, more successful painting company. And I've come into it with a refreshed outlook, a better sense of how to run and operate a business, how to communicate with customers. It's just made everything easier this go around. So, if you are extremely burnt out, it might be okay to step away, whether it's permanent or temporary, but you got to take care of the mental health part of it. And that's what I did that back then. But most recently, the thing that I was listening to a book called Time Warrior about time management. But there was one little sentence in there that caught my ear. That was, there's a common saying of love what you do, or, they say, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. This one quote from the book changed it just slightly. And it was love what you're doing. So you don't necessarily have to love every single thing about running a business, but if you can look at the moment that you're in and what you're focused on and decide that you're going to invest your energy and your heart into that one task, whether it's payroll or painting or working with your people on something, if you love what you're doing in that moment, you can get a lot of fulfillment out of it, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm a sports nerd, and a lot of athletes talk about when they're burnt out, that they go back to why they started, like where the passion is. Speaking of athletes, Beartooth, I know that for those that don't, if you guys haven't gotten the idea, like Beartooth's a good friend of mine. He comes over to the house. He plays Fortnite with me and my kids, my boys. We've been there. I think he came over for the Super Bowl. Like we're buddies. I saw you at Sherwin-Williams, and I noticed that shit was hitting fan. I actually stopped going to your store because we were working more downtown. But like when I saw you, and you know, my wife Shama, she even said something. She's like, you know, what's up with that boy? You know, share what you can if you want, but like because you're the most recent in this that we're talking about this mental health, but like how did acknowledging it, you know, I think that for men, because this is the men's roundtable, I'll say this freely, like we have this societarily way that we're supposed to show up. I think in the last few years it's changing. Mental Health Month is, I think, right now we're in May, and or it's coming to that. We need to be okay with ourselves to acknowledge. All right, Damon. We need to be okay with ourselves to say, "Hey, I'm not healthy," and if someone knocks that, fuck them. Like honestly, who cares? Like it's about me. So Beartooth, how with what you're willing to share with the group, like
So I guess I don't know. I've struggled with depression for a lot of my adult life. I've had more suicides surround me than most people probably have. Um, and so it's something that is kind of, I don't know, it's important to me, I guess. Um, with Sherwin, a few years ago, I had a really bad moment, just kind of, you know, fight with my wife, fight with a big contractor, financial issues, everything kind of came together, and I had a really bad night. And I caught myself having some thoughts I didn't want to have. And I was able to get through that. And then last year, what really set it off is those thoughts were coming back, and I started to get more comfortable with the idea. And again, I with what I've had to deal with in my life, it's something that I recognize a little more readily than most people that struggle with it, I think. And so I talked to somebody, or started talking to somebody. My wife is very supportive. I think more so than a lot of society. And that was kind of when I realized that I had to do something that I was going to be happy with. You know, we had pretty extreme paint shortages. I don't know. Obviously, a lot of the construction industry dealt with shortages. And my store in particular was getting hit hard because I didn't have a lot of big contractors anymore. I dealt mostly with homeowners, and to the corporate sense, they didn't mean anything. And so I was kind of getting the shaft there. And yeah, like I said earlier, I got to a point where I was like, I'm done. I need to be done. And I've always enjoyed working with my hands and construction stuff in general. So I started setting things up to have my business in place so that when I was ready to make the leap, it was there. And yeah, I got to that point, and for the last year, I mean, there's maybe a handful of days where I've been like, man, work sucked today. You know, like my knees aren't great now. My knees hurt a lot more than they used to.
I told you not to put weight on. I said, hey, don't go to McDonald's every day.
Right. But yeah, my knees and my back are a lot more sore than they used to be. But mentally, man, it's so much better.
Yeah. I'm happy.
I haven't had one of those bad days since I left.
Yeah, and I think that paint life as well. I think like when you recognize that, we'll get to you in a second, Ryan, because you've the most experience in this room still. Like I said, I've said this a million times. Blue Collar Tribe, this is your safe mental. This is your space. You want to come on the podcast? Give me a reason to have a conversation. We'll have it. DM me. I don't care. I'll put it. We'll do whatever I can do for you. I will. But like Michael, like that acknowledgement part is so important to you, right? Do you feel like I mean, I've watched you from a distance. We don't talk that often, but we do, you know, but like I can see that like switch. Would you feel like, I know when I wrote you on social media, you're like, hey dude, what's up? Like, do you like that? Would you, I guess what I'm getting to, would you encourage that? Like if you see someone having a hard time, that's like a brother or a sister in the trades, like I'm open to it. Write me. Say, hey dude, you don't look right.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think I'm open to that. I definitely see it a lot in my DMs. You know, a lot of people reach out to me. You know, that's when I realized like personal growth is not just for me; it's for everybody, and it resonates with anybody at any given moment based on what they're going through in that point in life. And I see it a lot. I see a lot of people. It's good to just give back, man. At the end of the day, we're human. We're not taking none of this with us.
No.
We're not taking none of this knowledge with us at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I just see it as I'm gonna give back. I'm not looking for anything in return. It's just really let us all eat if they're willing to put in the work. You know, like you say, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. You teach them the information, but doesn't mean they're gonna put in the work. So yeah, man, I think it's really good to help people out. Really good to help each other out. Look up each other.
Ryan,
yeah,
you have a little bit more experience than all of us. Actually, a lot more.
Appreciate it.
But but like the thing is like this. You are a contractor. Let's talk about this. For those that don't know, if you're watching on camera, Ryan created the paintbrush holster. I've seen his videos around. Now, I have a Stinger brush that doesn't have magnet on it. I know when I did the video, I saw that. I knew. But you're taking on another journey. So let's fast forward. You know, we talked to both Michaels. They're within 10 years new, but you've been here. You're now adding on as you're an inventor. You're a contractor.
Right.
You probably have a significant other. I know little about your
person. I have a wife and 2 kids.
Okay, so you have a family.
Yep.
You have yourself.
Yep.
And now you have a tool company. So mental health wise.
Yeah.
How have you worked through that? And is there something you've implemented?
Yes.
That has helped you?
Yes, I have, and it took many years. So let's start with, I don't have a GED or diploma, right? I don't have that. When I grew up, I was into trouble, in and out, you know, so I was a fuck up. I was an alcoholic, right? Now that I'm clean, going 8 years, I don't want to go back to that, right? So I always want to propel forward. But the only way to propel forward with everything that I'm taking on, you have to compartmentalize. You have to. You'll go fucking crazy. You have to put certain things on the shelf and come back to it. Not think about that all day. Do so much thinking and then jump to the next project. You have to. You'll go crazy. There's a time for work. There's a time for family. You got to shut off that phone. Face it down. Leave it alone.
Wait, hold on. Say that one more time, just a little louder. There's a time for what?
You got it, man. There's a time for work and there's a time for family. You know, so you got, so my phone, right, it shuts off at 7 o'clock. I don't turn it off. I just turn the volume down. I face it down because I know I'm going to keep, my eyes are going to keep like looking for a flash or someone wants to call me, bug me. They'll get their time and they'll get their time probably fucking tomorrow. If it's emergency, certain ones, they have my wife's number. So, you know, don't get me wrong with that. They'll blow my wife's phone number and be like, hey, I need help. So I'm like, okay, I'm gone, right? But other people, sorry, man, this is meant for tomorrow. My family, my kids are important for me right now. I have a 1-month-old. I have a 3.5-month-old. And I'm building a house for my mom on my property as well. I got paintbrush holster going. I got Tron going. I got a $450,000 house I'm bidding. That's the size of the job. And I'm also trying to partner with a guy so that we can flip houses, and then there's more projects to that. So you have to compartmentalize. You have to, but it all leads to goals. What do you want, right? My philosophy is like, if I see something like, man, that's a cool car, but that's like $80K, I'll never tell myself I'll never be able to afford that, because that puts your mindset in a like this bubble. Now you're enclosing. Now you're beating up your confidence. You're beating yourself down that you're not worthy of that. Or you can never have that. Try and reach for something a little less, but try and reach for something similar to that goal. to that goal, that item that that like that nice car or something. Treat yourself to that because of all the fucking hard work you're doing, right?
Yep.
Like I haven't took a vacation in probably 3 years. I'm on a goal. I'm on a mission, and I'm on a mission because I don't want to go to the past that I was living paycheck to paycheck. I don't like that life. I don't like that crew that I was hanging out. I fulfill myself with people that are hopefully smarter than me, which they are in some aspects, especially accounting. I fucking hate accounting. I can build a house from the ground up, but I hate accounting. Fuck it. I'll pay someone to do that. But anyway, yeah, just hang out with people that are positive and, just lead you in the right direction, because you're going to soak up knowledge from those people that you didn't know. And, and it will propel you to the next level. You're like, oh, you know what? I'll implement that in that next business. Or I'll piggyback off of that inventor. Instead of doing the long road work, I'll take that 16% cut and piggyback off of him and pay that and let that make money while I'm sleeping. I'm trying to think of other ways to make money so I don't have to work as hard, because I want to be retired when I'm 55 to 60, man, at least. I don't want to work like everybody else to like 70 and 80. You're fucking dead at 80. What do you got? You retire at 65, you got maybe what, 10, 15 years? I want before that, spend more time with my family. That's why I work for myself. I like to spend time with my family. I don't have many hobbies because I'm on a mission, but I do want my hobbies, and I will get there. It's just a matter of I'm moving a lot of money right now.
Yeah,
because so stuff like that.
Two things I want to touch base you talked about. Michael, if you can undo your mic real quick, Paint Life. I don't remember, this could be years ago, but for a period of time you were posting these things about doubt. You were talking about like letting doubt in your mind, how it ruins your day. Do you remember? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like, again, you and I post so much fucking shit I can't remember. But what Ryan's talking about is so important. Like if you even let doubt in, you're done.
Yeah.
It's not saying that you can't restart, but like I want you to speak on that, because I know like you're more metaphorical about that than I am, and I love that about you, and I'm grateful that you are. What would you say on that? Like, how do you overturn that, like, or turn that page of doubt to like, I can.
Man, it's one of these things. Like, it's funny because I talked to my older brother about this stuff too. It's like, if you got it, right? But then again, it's like, it's just when you got doubt in your mind. One, you already know when you talk to somebody and they tell me, hey, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this because of this. One, they're already telling me like they don't have the strength yet to be able to say, yo, I got that confidence. It's about building that confidence too. When you have that doubt, how do you build confidence? Just repetitiously talking to yourself over and over. So it's just conditioning your mind, reconditioning. How do you do that? How do you even take time? It's going to take time like anything else. It's really putting yourself in front of the things that are going to rewire and fire different circuits in your mind. And it's conditioning. It really is repetitious.
It absolutely is conditioning. Jeremy, I want to get to you in just a second. Ryan, I want to go back to you for just a minute here. I'm not categorizing you, but those that do follow Splash know that a lot of what I do for social media is I work with new inventors. I go to the trade shows. I work with them. I have a whole garage full of shit. I've noticed something about new inventors, and I won't call anyone else out because I know some of us know them, but I love this about new inventors. A high percentage of people that invent tools were addicts of something, whether it's alcohol, drugs, substance abuse, whatever it is. It's this interesting, what you were talking about that I want to speak more about from all of our perceptions of it. Like, it's a shift of energy.
Yeah.
I am a meditator. I meditate a lot. I can do it anywhere now. Like I'm not mastered it. No way. I'm not a guru, none of that shit. But, there's an inventor who created a product that I absolutely love. They've been sober for quite some time. They started drinking again. Ouch. And the minute I saw them start drinking, everything on social media went to fucking shit. And they started putting themselves in that group, using your words, Ryan, in that group of people that they didn't. I mean, this is a brother in trades that would call me crying when he wanted to drink, realizing I was kind of that, like, hey, that's great, dude. Like, don't drink. Okay, let's meditate over the phone. And now that he's drinking, it's hard because, like, I've reached out to him once, like, bro, and those that know me know, like, I'm going to be straight with you. Like, what the fuck are you doing? And he got mad at me. And I'm like, okay, that's not my space, you know, but congrats on being sober. If the itch ever comes, Blue Collar Tribe is here to talk to and vent. But, like, what I'm hearing you say in the bigger picture is you don't want vacations right now because you're working on goals. When you are an addict to something and you make that conscious decision of, like, I'm going to change, my mental health is more important than that shot or that cigarette or the fentanyl, whatever it is that your poison may be. Not that it's poison, but to you it is. That energy shift it's honestly beautiful. And I love it because we get some of the most best inventions, speaking blue collar specifically, that help make our jobs easier. You know, I mean, I know Michael and Jeremy and even all of us, but you, we've all talked to each other like, oh, dude, what if we created this tool? I didn't do it. I know Mike and I joked about a tool. Jeremy's like, what is this tool around? Like, you actually had the fucking ball sack to go say, hey, I'm going to make this paintbrush holder because it's an idea. And you're not even a fucking painter.
Yeah.
You know? And so, you know, kudos to you and anyone that's listening. Like, if you're trying to get over an addiction or you're trying to work on it, or you're at least in that first step of acknowledging it, we're all here for you. We're all here. We're all family. You know, we may not know what that darkness looks like or those things, but my social media is open.
You know what that darkness is?
Paint Life out there. I know you're very much like me. You know, like, we're here. We're going to help you, you know. Jeremy, you, my friend, can you hear me? Okay, there you are. I thought your camera froze. Bro, I've known you a while, man. And I know that there's a reason why your name is Steady Beat, you know, and so I know that you live in a small city. I don't know what you're willing to share, but, like, bro, you are that person that when I see on social media, I'm just like, he's fucking doing it, you know? And you have this weird, you don't let things really get to you, which I love. I wish I kind of had that mentality, but, like, with some of the health concerns that you have and some of the mental health, where, you know, because I think being in a smaller city is hard for city boys. It really is. Let's be real. Mike grew up in Montana somewhere. But how do you mentally work through that? Like, what's worked for you to mentally get over those things for you to continue to push through and be mentally healthy?
I mean, first and foremost, I don't like to say, like, cry me a river, like, pour me, you know what I mean? But I'll just put it out there. I mean, I was the seventh kid to be born with my arteries backwards at birth. And the fourth one to have survived in 88. And so right there, I mean, I always, like, my dad growing up, landscape contractor, I always grew up around him being in the dirt, you know, working his ass off every day. And I just knew that's where I wanted to be, you know. I'm on my third pacemaker right now. He'll probably be with me the rest of my life. And I just want to let people know, I mean, nothing's going to hold you back. You know, if you want it, go get it. And I mean, people, they look at me, and when I first started out of Home Depot, I painted for a guy and things went slow. And then I ended up working for my brother-in-law doing flooring. Did I ever think I was ever going to be a flooring guy? No, you know, and I love my vinyl plank. I love whatever. Do I like being on my knees? No. But the days that I had to carry in a roll of carpet on my shoulder, or the days that I worked alone when I did go out on my own and I'd burrito I'd fold a 12-foot roll carpet by however long it was, in half to where it'd be 6 foot long, and I'd heave it on my back, and I'd carry that damn thing into the house. And I tell people, I mean, there's no excuses, you know. I mean, I could throw in the towel right now and go down to McDonald's and get a job or whatever, you know. But at the end of the day,
Jeremy, we're losing you just a little bit with your connection. You keep going in and out.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but it's like I don't know if Michael and everyone else. I'm hearing about every third word you're saying, man.
Yeah, I haven't moved. Hopefully is it still all right?
Yeah, I hear a little better.
But,
Just to capitalize, like I know what you're saying, Jared. For those that couldn't hear, I don't know. I'll just repeat a little bit better because I have some words on my screen that show up. Jeremy has a pacemaker. He said he's on his third pacemaker. You know, like if that ain't something to work through and carrying carpets, like I'm not a carpenter, but he's carrying full rolls. I don't even know how much those fucking things weigh. They're heavy, you know. And that's why I said, like, Jeremy, like, I don't tell you a lot, you know, because I like to be hard on your ass sometimes. But, like, you know, every one of my people that I follow that I engage with on social media, like, y'all are inspirational to me. You know, and Jeremy is one of those guys. I've met him personally. He's a great dude. He's always been a supporter of Splash and the podcast and working with companies and getting out there, you know, to work with companies. And that's, you know, if you're a company out there, whether, you know, you're looking for ambassadors, like Jeremy is one of those guys that is going to give it its all, you know. Life, you know, as they say, gave him a little bit of a curveball, but, you know, he's honest. And that's one thing, you know, that, you know, Beartooth and I have talked about, like surrounding yourself with people who are knowledgeable about what you do, who push you to be better, you know. And I think that, like, in the realm of this, I mean, I can go on for hours. We've already been up for 2 hours, but, you know, I'll give you guys an opportunity to say anything you guys want to say, if there's something you're pushing or anything, and then we'll wrap up. But we'll go back to Jeremy. Jeremy, is there anything you're pushing out there right now? Social media, where can everyone find you at? And then we'll go Michael, and then Ryan.
I think my handle on Instagram, where I usually do most of my stuff, is steadybeat_construction, I believe is where I'm at. But yeah, I just try to post everything that I do, my day-to-day grind. You know, I just, like I said, I do a lot of different things. So I just try to showcase that, you know, at the end of the day, whether it be mental, whatever, I got mental issues too. You know, I'm like Mike was talking about the suicidal thing. You know, I've been there. I still struggle with it. My dad talks to me about it all the time. You know, and like one of the guys was talking about, you gotta prioritize. You know, my dad, I'll be working on a Saturday, I'll be working on a Sunday. He's like, dude, you need to knock it off. You're gonna end up killing yourself.
I've told you the same damn thing. Get out and go fishing.
Yeah,
it's thundering right now outside. So, but yeah, I mean, it's time. But yeah, I don't know. It's. I look up to you, Splash, and Michael. I watch you every time I see you come across, and I'm gonna try to find Ryan and Mike and find you guys on Instagram and all that, you know. So it's just Instagram, honestly. Well, like Splash, we just talked about it last week, being blunt or being whatever, you know. I say it how it is, and I know I need to some days. Even the next day, I was told by someone, you gotta wear a smile and not be so blunt, you know. So I'm not fake, but I also can't put on that smile sometimes. But I'm working towards it, you know. Michael, you're an inspiration, Splash. So, but yeah, I just whatever it may be, get out there and do your day-to-day grind, you know, just hustle. So.
I know that's right. Whatever is going on, and you know, I know most people see me smiling all the time, but it's not always peaches and cream. Beartooth can tell you that for sure. But Mike, where can people find you at? What are you doing? One thing about Mike that you guys may not know, Beartooth, is like he just does shit to do it, and then it turns into shit he's going to start doing for his job. But where can people find you? And is there anything you're pushing right now in the space?
Not really. I'm, not terribly active on social media. I like to follow people and see what they're doing, but I have a tough time documenting what I end up doing. But yeah, if you want to follow me, I'm at beartooth.built on Instagram and Facebook, and hopefully YouTube in the semi-near future. But yeah, I just appreciate you guys talking with me. It means
Awesome.
a lot to think that somebody might value what I have to say. So
Very valuable. You know that, brother. You know that. Paint Life, what you got going on? Where can people find you at?
What's up, guys? Yeah, you can find me on all social platforms, mainly Instagram, Paint Life 1904, and just posting my day to day as well, and just trying to add value in any way I can, and learn from other people, especially learn from other people, and just taking it day by day, guys. So you can find me on all social platforms. Let's link up and like Splash does. Let's collaborate and let's create life. Let's make experiences together. Let's create it. Let's get it.
Love it, man. Love it. Ryan, where are you at on social media? And you have a paint product out right now. It's the paintbrush holder. Are they live on Instagram to buy now or not yet?
Not on Instagram. You got to go to paintbrushholster.shop to buy that. I'm got a website guy working on all that stuff. I'm technical, but I'm not that technical, so I pay someone to do it. But it will be set up, and it will be Instagram and Facebook for Paintbrush Holster. As regards to this company, Tron, I don't do any social media. I get plenty of work around. I guess it would be cool to show off my work, but I don't know. I just don't. I just do it, collect paycheck, move on, next job. I do take pictures though, dock it, show my kids, show my wife, but stuff like that. But for those who have health, mental issues, and but want to get into, they want to get into this business, and but yet they have these health, little bit of issues or concerns. Just eat your health, get your health right. Work out, meditate like you do, Splash. Diets to do with everything, because in construction, man, you're gonna hurt. You're not in your 20s where if you're gonna start in your 20s, you're not gonna get up out of bed. You're gonna roll out of bed. This shit hurts. It beats you up. So if your health ain't on track, if you ain't eating healthy, and if you're out there eating McDonald's shit, well, you're gonna be hurting the next day. So get your health on track, and you'll be able to fuel this system. You'll be able to go the next day. You can keep going. You feel great. You're happy to take your vitamins and all that, because if you want to go get it, you got to be healthy. So sink some of that good money back into yourself, man. Don't be go out there drinking and shit, doing that drug, snorting that shit. Stay away from that. That'll just bring you to another level that you don't want to go. Hang around with those positive people and go get it, man. Make that money. Love your family. Hang out with your kids and make the best of it, because you're not promised tomorrow. You're not. So live it up, and hope everything works out for you. Take care.
Love it, man. Thank you. And at age 43, you plop out of bed. I don't think the rolling 30s is when you roll. At 43, you just like plop out of bed. To wrap up this podcast, guys, thank you so much. I hope the audio works well. We'll do it again. I'm going to be hosting roundtables every season. This is season 10. And as I wrap up every episode, I tell it like this. Blue collar men and women, we are out there in the world. You see someone with a gun, you see someone looking sad or weird, don't be hesitant. Like, be a better human. Acknowledge them. Talk to them. Be safe about it. But like, we see those. There's young kids. There's white collar people that are looking at us like, wonder if they're having a good day. You go, damn well we're having a great day. Blue collar's where it's at. Without blue collar people, we can't make this world turn, because you don't have buildings to make technology that we want to use. But on the same serious note, Blue Collar Tribe is here. Mentally, you got to get mentally right. If you're not, come talk to us. Any of my guests, I'm pretty sure their DMs are open. They'd love to chat with you.
Full of knowledge.
We have experience, And then last thing, I'll announce this here. I haven't actually announced it, but I will announce it right now. I have been working on some physical fitness things, which there'll be a little bit more coming out, but I have some workouts. You guys will get a free month of it. I've put together, I have over 60 videos I put up. I've completely changed my body in the last year through trial and error. Yep, and doing those. I never realized how important mental health was. Mike has seen it firsthand. He knows, but once that's launched, I'll give you guys access to that. But it's a subscription that I've been working on because I think that we've overlooked the importance of physical health. I know we talked about mental, but there's going to be some physicalness talking about because, we have contractor knees, we have contractor elbows and stomachs and feet and shit. It's important. So stay tuned for that. Thank you to all the sponsors. It means a lot. I cannot believe I'm in season fucking 10. And guys, thank you. Solo, you guys ever want to come on, you know where to get us. Again, have fun, and thank you to Tyler for this beautiful jam.